In this video, I want to just talk about the syllabus. Now, again, I presume that you can all read and you don't need me reading to you, and that's not what I'm going to do here. The syllabus is important. It's the way that you know what to expect in this course, about how I'm going to manage this course. And I think we've all experienced before classes that are overly managed, but also classes that are not managed sufficiently. Um, I've made many a syllabi in my time, and I don't like thinking of it like a contract because it sounds too legalistic or it sounds too restrictive. This is just kind of setting up the broad brushstrokes of how things are going to run in this class so that you know what to expect. Okay, so this is an online course and we meet asynchronously, meaning that there's no required lecture times. 5 credit class. So with that said then, how do you contact me? Now I'm not in Oregon, so can't swing by my office or anything like that. But the emails get sent right to my phone. I am on email at least every weekday, and certainly even on the weekend, it gets sent to my phone at least. So unless it's like something really dire, I'll reply to you on the weekend if it's something really dire. But you should generally expect that I'll reply on weekdays. It doesn't mean that I won't reply on the weekend. I'm just saying, relax your expectations a little bit. But if it's obviously very important, or if I perceive that even if it's not important to me, but I perceive that it's very important to you, I will generally reply something. Um, and, we're not limited to just emailing each other. If it becomes pretty clear to me pretty quickly, we need to meet on Zoom, or, if you need me to make you a video to explain something, I'll happily do that. You're paying good money for this course, and I get paid to teach this class, so it's what you should expect and demand of me as the person teaching this course. Nothing bothers me more. Nothing bothers me more than a person if they were to ever say, I had to teach myself all the material because the instructor didn't post any lectures or anything like that. That is not what you'll get in this class. I make all my own lectures. Yeah, I use the publisher slides, but I narrate them and talk about them and explain them. You might dislike the way that I explain something or talk about something, or maybe even dislike the tone of my voice, but I'd have to rely on other YouTube videos. But dude, I'm trying my best here. So I say that all, how to contact me and how engaged am I in this class. I'm quite engaged in this class, and you will have the videos made by me. I've listed my office hours here. Again, I'm in Hawaii. Obviously, you all are on Pacific time. This is for Pacific time. I, generally speaking, have tried to keep this time free. If you are going to want to meet me, the easiest thing is just to email me and say, I'd like to meet, and we'll come up with a time that's better. It's just that I'm required to have some office hours listed here. That is these hours. But all I really do is I'm not going to sit in an empty Zoom room for an hour every 2 days a week. If you want to meet with me, let me know, and I'll make sure I'm in the Zoom room, or we'll just meet at some different time. Okay, here's our description of the course. I did not write this. Here's how I describe this course. This is basically an introductory macroeconomics course, an introduction to economics course. And in that course, we are describing, explaining both economics as the discipline that it's practiced today, as well as talking about various paradigms of economic thought. That it's not necessarily, not all economists think the same about how the world exists. And we'll try to talk about some of those different ways that different economists think that the world exists. We have 3 major learning outcomes. I'm not mapping them out. It's just that I want that by the end of this 10-week course that we will have done these 3 things, and that you will be able to walk away with the course from the course with these 3 things. This is also part of the Gen Ed curriculum. And finally, this is a UWR course, meaning that there is a fair amount of writing that you need to do in this course. I've tried to reduce it a little bit. I used to have a much more extensive paper that individuals would have to write, but I'm scaling it back a little bit. So how am I going to assess you? Well, we've got quizzes here that are worth a total of 15%. And then we have, we've got, sorry, I'm just looking here to make sure I've got everything here. We've got 6 quizzes. We've got 7 news analysis papers. You've got 13 homework assignments. You have this small Fred analysis paper, which I'll talk about more in a separate video. And then you've got 3 exams. You'll notice here that 40% of the material, 40% of the assessments are non-exams, and then 60% is exams. So I'm trying not to be too exam heavy here. And then I just kind of explain these things here. Our textbook is called The Macroeconomy Today by Schiller and Gebhardt. It's a pretty good book. I've chosen this book. They write it rather well. They're not too opinionated, like Democrat or Republican. They're pretty middle of the road. That was important to me. We are using the homework system that comes with the textbook. So I will be making a separate video that will talk about how you purchase that book. But beyond MH Campus, McGraw-Hill Campus, which is the publisher's website, we'll be using Canvas as well as MH Campus. I took these dates all from the EOU registrar's website, so I just copied those over here. In terms of our policies, generally speaking, I don't like people missing deadlines. It's not because I think that the world works in a way where everyone's got to meet a deadline. That's not the way that I am. It's just that it makes it a lot more difficult to manage the class if I'm like creating all these exceptions or having to decide whether to give you an exception or not. If you have something that came up that caused you to miss something, you should totally tell me about it. I'm just trying to set your expectations appropriately. You don't have to, you could have your favorite pet lizard died, and I'll probably accept that as an excuse, right? Don't make bad karma for yourself, though, right? I mean, because your lizard now might actually die if you make up that he died or he or she died, right? Don't do that. Don't make your lizard die. Just be honest with me. That's really the most important thing I would say. If you miss a deadline and you really want to ask me for an extension, just be honest. I know that's difficult to do. It's difficult for even grown adults to do it, for kids to do it, for you to do it. I understand that, but I've been around long enough. Just be honest. It doesn't mean that, just let the chips fall where they may. Do not, as a shortcut to meeting a deadline, engage in academic misconduct. That would be cheating. That would be, as you'll see as I scroll down here, using artificial intelligence, which has become quite prominent, especially this past semester. Don't do it. There are certain ways I can try to identify whether there's artificial intelligence content. And if I suspect that there is, I'm not trying to be accusatory here. I'm just going to ask you for some documentation that what you wrote is actually yours. But this all feeds into, a lot of times people don't cheat because they're naturally cheaters or because they naturally are going to use AI to do things. It's that they're running out of time and they're trying to meet a deadline by taking a shortcut. That's what I'm saying. Be honest with me. Don't, take a breath before you engage in misconduct or dishonesty in some way, because the consequences of that are much more severe. You don't want to be that person that does that. it's actually better to take the 0 for just not doing it or asking for an extension than doing one of these things and hoping that I don't catch it. If you have a disability or you suspect that you have a learning problem, it is not me who you reach out to. You would need to reach out to Disability Services, and they then tell me how I need to accommodate you. That's the way that works. If you reach out to me, I'll probably just in an accommodating way, just refer you to that office. This is the required withdrawal policy statement. Here's our grading scale as given to us by the university. And then here's our schedule. So I've tried to structure this so that you have a bit of time to do things. So you'll notice that you do have things due every week, and it's only a quarter, so we're only 10 weeks long. That kind of sucks, but it is a 5-credit class, so I guess keep that in mind here. But we are covering quite a bit of work here. We're trying to do 2 chapters a week here. So in week 1, we've got 2 chapters, week 2, 2 chapters. And then what I do here to make your life a little bit easier here, although I do have an analysis paper here in week 1, just so you can kind of gauge how to write an analysis paper, you'll notice that I pushed the writing assignments and exam 1 to a week all by itself, just to kind of give you some flexibility in how you do things. Then in week 4, you see 2 chapters, week 5, 2 chapters, right? And then week 6, same thing, your analysis papers and your exam. And then in the kind of third part of this class, you have 2 chapters, and then week 8, 2 chapters, and then our final kind of week here, we have 1 chapter, and then you have this kind of larger analysis paper here, mini analysis paper, the Fred project, which I'll talk about more later. And then, of course, concludes with your last analysis papers and your 3rd exam. And this should obviously say exam 3. Okay. So there we go. That's our syllabus, and that should give you an idea of what to expect in this class.